Welcome to this PayTrace webinar. My name is Sam Johnson. I will be your host and trainer today. Just taking a quick look at the live participants. Looks like we're good to go. Team, this is an exciting webinar. This is the first of our newest course, Embedded Payments in QuickBooks Online. I am looking over the active registration list right now, and I see we have a lot of new names that are on here. So I'm going to take a minute or two just to go over some housekeeping items on what to expect on this PayTrace webinar. If you haven't been on these before, special welcome to you guys. PayTrace webinars are 30-minute sessions to give you some insight into PayTrace, into some best practices, into some of the products and tools that we have that you can take and be more successful, whether you're a partner, a merchant, or just want to learn more about some payment stuff. You will notice if you are logged in here live, you are muted. It's not that we don't want to have active dialogue with you, but we just want to reduce some distractions and some noise. So, with that said, if you have questions, comments, emotional outbursts over the next 30 minutes, please wiggle your mouse around on your computer screen. You'll see a little Q&A box appear. Go ahead and click on that, type in your questions. I usually carve out a few minutes at the end of all these calls to answer some of these live. And we'll also be providing some contact information on how you can get a hold of our team for any additional follow-up. So without further ado, let's take a look at today's agenda. We're going into QuickBooks. So we're going to start off with a little bit of just some information on kind of the payments landscape right now, specifically for business to business, and why it makes sense to really go digital with your payments, um, and really how can we leverage that into QuickBooks Online. From there, we're going to go into a demo. This is going to be a very demo heavy webinar. So you guys can see, look, feel the solution of Trace AR for QuickBooks Online. And then lastly, we're going to round this off with a couple minutes on Q&A, and some next steps in case you do want to proceed with, you know, looking into using QuickBooks Online as a selling tool, or if you're a merchant, how you can utilize this. So I'm going to kick it off with just some information that we've gathered on the industry and a lot of challenges that AR teams are finding right now in the payment space. Uh, right now, one of the number one pain points for accounts receivable teams is slow traditional payment cycles. And what this means is that, right, in B2B, we see this all the time where we're very rarely getting paid at the point of purchase, at the sales order. Typically, most B2B companies will have some type of policy in place for some type of net terms, whether that's, net 30-day payments, 60-day, whatever that looks like from the time of purchase that the buyer has to pay off that order. Um, which, right, it's great. It's going to take care of our customers, but not having money in the bank is a big challenge. So we want to do everything that we can to accelerate that payment cycle and make sure that those receivables don't go stale past whatever time frame that we have set. Um, just some statistics for everybody on today's call. Industry average right now for B2B is about 40 days, or 47 days sales outstanding, DSO, which is a very long time, right? If you guys know kind of the value of money, not having those receivables in our bank account for that amount of time is going to hurt us, right? It's going to make our buying power less. It's going to make us rely on potentially financing out some of our expenses. So, anything that we can do to expedite that, that's going to be one of the big selling points, kind of value props that uh, this product that we're going to talk about has. Next thing is disconnected buying experience. Um, when you look at the kind of the retail space, business to consumer payments, there's this huge wave over the last few years on how can we make the paying process frictionless for consumers. And you see all this great technology. I literally, side note, my neighbor less than a block away from me every Saturday um, has a produce stand essentially in his driveway where he starts selling stuff. And he recently he set up his own legitimate business. And I was coming back from a jog and I'm like, man, I really wish I had some money on me. I don't want to have to run back to my house, come back, get my stuff. And he's like, well, we do Apple Pay. So I literally whipped out my phone and tapped it. Right? This is some guy that just lives down the road from me who sells stuff in his driveway. 10 years ago, that was unheard of. So there's all this really great technology in the consumer space, but we're not seeing this same level of buying experience for B2B. So how can we develop this? How can we replicate that on the buyer supplier side for business to business? So creating a much more frictionless process, meeting our buyers where they are and how they want to be paying rather than, old archaic outdated forms like paper check. And then lastly, just a huge demand in the e-commerce space for business to business, right? We're getting away from manual, labor-intensive paper processes. Now B2B is adopting all sorts of technologies, and we're looking in the embedded payment space, right? We see this growth in the ERP space, and this huge boom in the accounting software space when we look at products like Xero and, for today's topics, QuickBooks Online. So with that said, this is a very interesting stat. We've done some market research and we found that in specifically in B2B, the primary payment method is still paper check by a landslide. It's not even close. And this was painful to see, honestly, when I saw this data for the first time. 63% of payments currently are still being made via check. Only 7% via card, and then 26% via ACH, the remainder being who knows, wire, Bitcoin, cash, some interesting methods. But regardless to say is that we see this blue piece of the pie, this large majority of the pie as really opportunity for us to grow and to help businesses find better payment solutions when they are accepting payments, um, right? And make them much more efficient. So all this to say, there's a lot of opportunity for growth in more of this digital payment space. And how are we doing this? Well, we're doing it through AR automation. So some of the tools that you're going to see today on our Trace AR for QuickBooks Online product really is taking out this very tedious manual invoicing process and streamlining it and consolidating it into something that's so much more simpler. Um, and I'm going to use this term a lot, frictionless, right? I'm not going to outline this 10-step process for somebody not doing AR automation today. But if you've ever paid a utility bill with a paper check, which I still do constantly because that's how my utility service likes to do it, it sucks, right? There's a lot of risk for human error. There's at least 10 different steps for something to go wrong, for there to be some type of disruption versus if you use our payment solution with PayTrace, everything's online, everything's digitalized, it's working in sync with QuickBooks Online so that, it's less manual effort, it's going to move much quicker, and there's going to be much less risk of human error. In fact, we found that merchants that are using our platform with QBO are seeing a majority of their payments come in quicker, if not within a week within sending out that invoice. So there's a lot of cool stuff here. Like I said, we're going to take a majority of this to actually dive into the solution. So we're going to take probably 10 to 15 minutes to take a look at Trace AR and how this integrates directly with QuickBooks Online. So if you join me over here, we're going to go into our Trace AR sandbox account. Um, Now, with a lot of payment integrations, if you've worked with them before, you may be aware they can be clunky. They can have errors. They can take a long time to implement. What I love about this integration into Trace AR is how quick and easy it is to implement. You can see I'm actually connected already. I'm going to disconnect from my QBO integration because I want to do this live so you can see truly how simple this is. So if anybody's using QBO today, all you have to do is pull up your PayTrace account, click on this Connect to QuickBooks button, and it's going to ask you to log in with your credentials. Now, I've already logged in here, so it's not going to ask for it again for me, but it's literally just username and password, right? What I love about QuickBooks Online is it's a cloud-based software, so you don't actually have to have like something downloaded to your computer and try to make these things talk to one another. It's literally just 30 seconds and you're connected, right? Very simple. Now from here, I'm actually going to go and log into my QuickBooks Online demo account. Let me get to my dashboard. We'll get to that same test company we were just in, and that's going to pull over into QuickBooks. Now, keep in mind what you're seeing here is actual QuickBooks Online. This isn't some sort of overlay. This isn't some sort of middleware that kind of looks like QuickBooks. This is Intuit's own product, right? So let's go ahead and go over to our customers and let's send an invoice, see what this looks like. Now, what I really like about this team is that this is a true, what we call a two-way sync, meaning that if we were using Trace AR previous to QuickBooks Online and we just implemented QuickBooks Online, all of our stored customers, stored items that are within Trace AR get automatically synced into QuickBooks. Vice versa. Any data, any customer profiles that we have stored within QuickBooks will automatically get synced into Trace AR. So they are consistently talking to one another. So this is my customer list. I'm going to go down and grab Sam Johnson, my favorite customer. He always pays on time. Uh, Ignore that. So you can see here, I've got all my payment history. All that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and fire up a new transaction. We'll do an invoice. And I'm just going to invoice this the same way as I normally would, right? So for any merchants today that are using Intuit's payment processing for QuickBooks, they're not going to see any changes. What they've been doing is the same process as what they would do with PayTrace. So I'll add a couple line items. We'll do a golf club set, very pricey golf club set, apparently, and a driver. We'll make this $5,500. Everything looks good. The only difference that a merchant would do differently for this versus through Intuit's payment processing is instead of hitting review and send, uh, we're just going to hit save and close. That's it. Review and send initiates Intuit's invoicing platform. We want to avoid that and just use the PayTrace side. So by saving it, that's going to initiate us to fire off that invoice. So another thing that I like about this is that the actual synchronization from the time that we initiate this invoice will hit Trace AR typically within about 30 seconds. Um, so I'll go over to my QuickBooks dash or my invoicing dashboard here. Let me just do a quick refresh, see if this hit our system already. If not, we'll use one that I did just the other day. That's all right. Let's do this one. So you can see which ones actually were initiated within QuickBooks versus ones that I was just doing through my own Trace AR account, as denoted by these little QuickBooks logos, which is kind of cool. Um, so source was QuickBooks Online. This is great. Oh, here we go. This just came through. Okay, so this is the one that we just sent through QuickBooks, about 30 seconds. Um, what's really great about this team is that we have real-time tracking on this. This is not something that you can do through Intuit. Whereas if I want to know what the customer has been doing with that email, with that invoice, I actually have this little history section um, in the details of the invoice. Now, this one, there's not going to be much history because I just sent it out. However, let's go to a previous invoice that I sent out. I can see 18 different items. I have a lot of automated reminders that I have set up on my demo account that go out. I can see that the email was read. If there was a click, if there's an action that the customer did on this, I can be essentially notified that the customer clicked on the email. It's really nice. So I'm going to open this up as if I'm a customer. Let's go ahead and click this. And we'll have our invoice here. Now, when I go to pay this, you'll see I actually have on my demo account enabled dual pricing. There's a lot of different pricing methodologies that we can implement with Trace AR. You can do just, normal normal processing, which is just paying the same subtotal. We can implement cash discount, dual pricing, surcharging. So if that we did want to mitigate or pass on the fees to the consumer, um, right, convenience fees, we can implement some custom pricing methods. So on this one, I have a card price and I have an ACH price. It's worth noting that we support both card and ACH within our system. We actually have our own ACH rails called Trace ACH. So if you did want to implement that, you're not having to go through a fourth party vendor to try to get all of your processing methods in one spot, right? PayTrace is going to be able to host everything. So I'm going to pay with card. Now, what's nice about this is that if the customer has any additional outstanding invoices out there, looks like we do for 103 bucks. Um, we'll notify him. Let's see if we can get him paid him off at the same time. I'm going to agree to terms of use, hit pay, success. That's going to update my invoice here to let me know that that's paid, and we're good to go. So now I'm going to do a quick refresh. And very similarly, team, right? We can see this being posted within Trace AR, but when that is paid off, we will sync that payment to be posted back into QuickBooks. So in a moment when it syncs, that this $5,500 will be adjusted to paid status, right? And that will be closed out. So, really great program, right? What I like about this is that we're not limited to the Intuit platform, and we're adding value to this, right? We're not disrupting a user's typical payment flow, but now if they want, they have access to tracking, they have access to unique fee structures. And one last thing that I'll show you is we also offer this really slick client portal. Now, what this is, team, is this is going to be a customer-facing, essentially payment management portal. We can provide this to the end customer, either via link or we can embed this portal onto our website. I'm just going to do this via URL. And the first time a customer goes to log into their own portal, it's going to ask for a mobile number, an email to get signed in, set up your password. And what this will do is when they get logged in, I'm going to have my own dashboard of all of my payment history with that merchant, right? So I don't have to go and try to track down invoices or receipts by calling up the merchant and bothering them and bugging them. I can now self-serve, myself if I'm on like a payables team. Um, and I can grab receipts. I can go in here and grab, right, this previous invoice. Fantastic. I can print this off, email it. All of this is at my fingertips now. And same goes for actual payments, right? So I see that $103 invoice that I referenced earlier. If I wanted to pay that off, I don't have to track down that initial email that I was sent maybe, let's say 30 days ago. Hopefully not 30 days ago. But now I can just go to my client portal, log in. I'm going to pay this one via ACH. So I'll see that price goes down. I'll do this ACH payment. I've got my account saved here already, so I don't need to go in and manually plug that in. And that's all it takes, right? My balance is zero. I'm good. I don't have to worry about paying this person off anymore. And now what's cool also on top of this is that you can also add multiple payment methods within the client portal. So that if we have multiple cards, if we have multiple bank accounts that we may be paying with, I can upload all of these in here so that it's really easy for me to go in, make a payment. I'm not spending a bunch of time trying to process that, right? And then again, broken record, it's all going to post to QuickBooks. So when all that hits my account, I can see both of those payments were made. This first one here was paid by card, so I'm going to see in the memo that an additional $165 was added as a card fee. And I can see this one did not incur that because it was paid via ACH. So We're going to make all the bookkeeping a lot simpler as well. So, a lot of good data here, team. Hopefully, this is resonating with you all. So, what I like to tell people is that when when they're adopting Trace AR, right, as a merchant, if they're already using QuickBooks Online, nothing's going to change, right? We're just going to go in, replace it, and we're going to add all this value to it. Um, if they wanted to, they can take advantage of these things like client portal, like surcharging, like cash discount, all these different options that we can add on to it, or they don't, right? They can do as much or little as they want to as far as the customization goes. Oh, hang on. Okay. Looks like we're good. So we saw the customer portal, the client portal. It's great. Love it. The other thing that we're going to be doing that differentiates itself from Intuit, right, is we're doing our interchange optimization. If you guys have been on PayTrace webinars before, you know this is one of the things that we do the best is level two, level three processing for Visa and MasterCard, where we can get a lot of those card transactions reduced pretty significantly, right? Um, if you're not familiar with this, check out our PayTrace 102 course on selling level two and level three. But a lot of merchants that aren't doing this, they're paying pretty high card fees when they use PayTrace and some of our automated invoicing tools, right? We're able to add in a lot of additional data that we're gathering from these invoices without manual work from the merchant and allowing them to have access to some of these really low rates. So, if you're using Intuit, one of the kind of the double-edged sword is you're going to be paying a flat rate pretty much across the board. The bad part is that flat rate is kind of high. And there's a lot of ways that we can help improve that. Level two and level three is one of the big ones, right? So a lot more flexibility in kind of the pricing models. So, if we were to summarize a lot of this, some of the benefits that we're providing through these accounts receivable solutions, we're helping our merchants get paid faster. More or less in turn, we're freeing up personnel time. Kind of paper invoicing, manual invoicing, oftentimes can take, many minutes per invoice. Whereas this, as we just saw, I can fire up and send out an invoice, and have that paid off and posted back to my account within a minute. It's very simple. So our AR team, our finance team, who we pay to be really good at finance, doesn't need to spend all their time doing manual tactical work. Now they can go and be more strategic and right provide more value to the business. We saw the real-time tracking capabilities in here. I really like that, where we can see as much or as little as we want to see. And not only that, but it helps hold our customers accountable. Right? There's no excuse that the dog ate my invoice. I can see that you clicked on it, Karen. It's there. Just pay it, please. End user secure. I'm sorry if there's any Karen people named Karen on this. Um, Increased end user security. Everything that we do is PCI compliant, right? We're very high on making sure that everything we do is locked down, and that we are in compliance with not only PCI but with the card brands and their rules that they have, as well as Nacha. So everything that we do, we make sure is by the book and that our merchants are protected. Interchange optimization, and as always, the live five-star support. That's not something that's going away ever. We have the best support in the industry, so you know that you've got a trusted partner when you're using this. So just to kind of expand on this, I was gonna put a top three differentiator slide, and then I'm like, I can't figure out what the top three is, so I changed it to top five. Right. There's a lot of benefits about going with PayTrace for QuickBooks Online versus Intuit or some of the other third-party payment solutions that are out there. Number one, I'm always going to hang my hat on this one is interchange optimization, right? There's a huge cost aspect to payment processing, and we're going to make sure that we put the ball right. We're gonna level the playing field, so to speak, for our merchants so that they don't have to worry about some of the high costs. when accepting card or ACH payments. Um, this is an all-in-one stop shop. We consider ourselves a full tech stack payment company so that you don't need to go through five different vendors to try to get all of your stuff in one place. All right. Once you have your QuickBooks account, you can do gateway through PayTrace, you can do card, ACH, all of these different payment options are all through us. So that's great because if you have questions, if something happens and you need to get hold of somebody, uh, you know who to go to. We're not going to point fingers because the only fingers to point would be at ourselves. Lots of pricing flexibility on this. And what I mean by that is with Intuit, right? You're locked into whatever their payment model is, which is usually just a flat rate payment. With this, you can choose your own processor, you can use us. Now you can look at more optimal ways as far as what your cost structures look like for payment acceptance. Um, Number four on here is really all those benefits that we saw from Trace AR. These are all the value adds that you get with us that you wouldn't necessarily get directly through Intuit or some of these other solutions. With the custom fee structures like surcharge, like convenience fees, dual pricing. Those are awesome. You get this client portal, which we've had tons of great feedback on, right? People are wanting this like crazy right now. And then again, you get the real-time tracking, right? A lot of visibility here. Lastly, and I can't stress this enough, team, is our five-star support. You will not find better support outside of PayTrace. I don't have the number here on our contact us slide. I feel really bad. I might drop it into the Q&A chat here in a minute. But when you call us, somebody's going to pick up the phone within 20 seconds or less, almost every single time. We don't have AI. We don't have a phone tree to dial through. We're not going to put you on hold. We're not experiencing larger than normal call volume. You're gonna talk to somebody immediately, right? Um, but you can't really put a price tag on that. So with that said, I'm going to open this up for Q&A. I have a couple questions in here I'll tackle. We've got about 3 minutes left, so if you haven't sent those in already, please do right now. Next steps, if you do want more information or you want to just talk to somebody, you have questions, maybe you're interested in this product, reach out to our sales team, sales@paytrace.com. It's the best way to get a hold of us. That's where we're going to have the most eyes on it. If you do want to get a hold of me directly, if you're like, Sam, that was the worst webinar I've ever seen in my life, I gotta tell you. Um, or if you want to say it's the best webinar, my email is salestraining@paytrace.com. Again, that's salestraining@paytrace.com. I manage that inbox directly. So a few questions on here. I've got one from Ruben. Can you get a recording of the webinar, please? Yeah. Here's a great plug. All of our recordings are available on our YouTube channel. So if you had to leave early, you want to show this to your colleague or your whoever, look up PayTrace on YouTube. This should be posted, if not by the end of the week, early next week. And you can watch this as many times as you want. Marty, clarification. So your solution passes the credit card fee back to the customer. Yes. So that is essentially the definition of surcharging is specifically for credit cards, um, right? Passing on the fee to the end consumer. You've probably seen it. It's starting to get a lot of traction in a lot of consumer-facing industries, specifically like restaurant, things like that, where you can add on a percentage surcharge to cover the cost of credit card acceptance. So yes, our solution does do that, and it is compliant with the card brand regulations. So if that's something you're interested in, it's available. David, appreciate the feedback. Oof. I think I might have to tackle some of these questions offline. Let me do some follow up on this one, David. A lot of really good, insightful questions about Trace AR and our ACH offerings. Um, it'll take too much time for me to answer all of these. Um, but yes, I will take note of these ones, David, and follow up with you directly. Bonnie, you are logged into PayTrace now. Integrations menu on the left. There's no Trace AR option to choose and link to QVO. Yes, Bonnie, if you're logged into the PayTrace gateway, it means that you're probably not in Trace AR, which is a new product that we released last year. Um, if you do have Trace AR, it just might mean that we need to get somebody with admin privileges to go ahead and enable that. So I can take that as a follow-up and pass that over to our team to take a look at that for you, Bonnie. David, perfect. All right, sounds good. All right, we are right at time, right at the half hour mark, like I promised. Team, thank you so much for hanging out with me for the last half hour. It's been a pleasure. Again, please stay in contact and stay tuned for our on our blog. If you're not subscribed to our blog, that's where we have most of our webinar announcements. We're going to be having some new webinars here as we release some new embedded payment solutions into ERPs like Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, as well as Acumatica are some new exciting ones that are coming up. So stay tuned and have a great rest of your week. Take care.